Hi everyone, I'm Lexi from Russia and I have found one very interesting video about a British guy who has immigrated to Russia. So this video is called I Moved to Russia and It's a Total Nightmare. And I think this is a clickbait, but I want to watch it. So let's start it.
I'm a British guy who moved here to Moscow, Russia, and so far it's been a total nightmare. In this
I'm
video, we're going to
triggered
take a little
already.
walk here around Red Square and through Moscow, and I'll tell you all about it. Let's go. So we're here at this end of Red Square, where
So
St.
beautiful.
Basil's is, and just to let you know before we set off, we're going to head around along past that illuminated building, GUM, the old
I'm not gonna lie, and it's no doubt that Red Square during the Christmas and New Year looks glorious. I mean, really, like Moscow admin spends a lot of money on decorating Moscow for New Year and Christmas, and it looks delicious, really.
shopping centre down towards the far end there of Red Square.
So beautiful.
So the first negative culture shock I had here in Russia was to do with the tax system. When I arrived, I realised that I was actually going to be paying 13% tax, which is quite a lot lower than what I was paying in the UK. And that sounds good at first, doesn't it? But what it meant was that actually my take-home pay was going to be £8,000 per year more here than compared to the UK on the same salary. Again, that sounds great, doesn't it? But then you start to think about it and you realise that that's £8,000 that's not going towards combating climate change, or £8,000 that's not going towards gender research studies,
Oh my
which is
god.
obviously quite problematic. And then
Okay, talking about taxes. I mean, people like even people who live in Russia, they don't know that um the taxes are not 30%, that your employer has to pay almost 30 or around 30 or 40% taxes. So it's a huge myth about low taxes in Russia. And yeah, as I said, a lot of people, even local people, don't know about that. And about spending money, tax money. What can I say? I mean, you can try to ask people in Moscow or in St. Petersburg, especially, about what do they think about our government spending money, tax money, like on how do they like how they spend tax money. I can say, like, I'm pretty sure they would say no.
of course that extra money starts to build up in your bank account, doesn't it? And as it builds up, you can start to invest and kind of get ahead financially, which for me as a British person is quite difficult. It causes me a lot of angst and worry to have this sense that I might actually, be getting somewhere in life. And
Investing in Russia, I mean, you can invest, you can actually, if you have a lot of money, you can invest, you can actually put your money on your bank account, and it would like you can collect a very big amount for money only if you have a big amount of money already. So investing and doing stuff like financial stuff in Russia is very, very complicated too. Because like everywhere, if you have money, you have no problem with investing, or you have no problem with making more money when you have a lot of money already, you know.
when you start to have this extra disposable income coming in, you really begin to realize how much better it is to have the government spending your money and to have you spending it yourself, because you
What
start
I
to spend
said.
your money on really frivolous things like holidays and enjoying yourself and stuff like that. Remember, I bought a holiday to Thailand and I was sitting beside the pool in this 4-star hotel, and I was thinking to myself, this just isn't right. It would be so much better if the government had had that money and it was able to, spend it, on somebody else getting a 4-star hotel, not instead of me with my own money. Preferably somebody who's never paid any tax in the UK.
Okay, as I said about government spending money, in Russia we have free medical treatment, and you actually, if you even don't use, you know, if you don't go to hospitals, if you don't need any medical treatment, you are paying for that. So your taxes are going to invest into the medicine. So, but it's a good thing in some ways. I mean, we have, you know, you can actually call ambulance even if you are not a citizen of Russia. If you, you know, come to Russia as a guest, as a, you know, a tourist, and something bad happens, you can actually call ambulance and you can get all medical treatment for free, including surgery and stuff, and yeah, um, hospitalization. It's all for free. So there is a huge, you know, advantage of this system. But at the same time, sometimes people wait for ambulance to come for too long, for 1 hour or 2 hours. It's because, yeah, we are lacking of ambulances, and yeah, so it's like a two, like you have pros and cons of this situation. But yeah, spending money on medicine, it's a good thing, I think.
Right, as we come down here, we're going to get nice and warm in the metro, and I'm going to...
Also pensions, you know, you are working for your, you know, time when you retire, but we have here a little problem with like the age when you can get retired. Go when you have, you know, actually have your pension. And in Russia, like as I know, you know, men actually die, you know, before they can actually retire, you know? So imagine like working all your life and paying taxes and never actually, you know, never actually using your pension because you, yeah, you already died. It's it's not funny.
I'm going to get on to my next complaint.
That would be about our subway, I think.
Well, here we are at Teatran metro station, and I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, wow, this looks really nice. What's this guy going to complain about here? Well, let me tell you. So the metro system here looks great on paper, but there's one major problem, and that is that during rush hour, the trains come every 90 seconds, which sounds great, doesn't it? But there's a big problem, which is that doesn't leave me enough time to update my pronouns on my LinkedIn profile, which I try to do 4 to 5 times per week, as I'm sure you do too. Also in the UK, when I've got 25-30 minutes between trains, what I like to do is go on Twitter and Facebook and see if I can find a case where somebody's accidentally misgendered someone, and then I try and get that person fired and generally ruin their life. You know, just do my bit to make the world a better place. But unfortunately here, that's just not possible. So that's definitely a huge drawback of living here in Moscow.
Okay, first thing, you can't use LinkedIn, you can't use Facebook, you can't use Twitter in Russia because they are banned. And Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram, you know, they are, oh my god, not a terroristic organization, but extremist organization or something. So if you actually support Meta or use some ads, or if you fund, you know, pay to Meta in any ways, you can actually end up being in a jail. So yeah, you can't use LinkedIn and all this stuff because they are banned. So yeah, this is a very amazing actually take. And yeah, about Moscow subway, he's right about that this is like the biggest subway in Russia, and it's very busy because Moscow is like the hugest city in Europe, and imagine how many millions of citizens use subway every day, because many of people who live in Moscow, they prefer using subway because of the traffic jams. And even people who have cars, they drop their cars and go to the subway because you can actually stuck in the traffic jam for hours, especially at peak hours.
Right, we're going to hop on a train and go one stop to Novokuznetskaya.
White male privilege. Like, do you feel the vibe?
Novokuznetskaya, probably my
The
favorite
vibe of this
station.
video.
For sentimental reasons. It was my first neighborhood that I lived in.
Like, subway is very beautiful in Moscow and in St. Petersburg too, because like these old stations from the USSR, they are really like, they look like very royal, like you know, like very royal, very like glamorous, very like luxury. That's true.
And it's one of the best stations, I would say. But we're not going to stay here for long.
And you know why like subway in Russia is very clean? Because it doesn't work during the night hours, so you can't use subway at night, because during these hours stuff is cleaning it, so that's why it's pretty clean.
Here we are at Novokuznetskaya.
Yeah, Christmas tree,
It's
it's so
chilly.
beautiful. And chilly, yeah.
This is Pyatnitskaya Street,
Pyatnitskaya.
which is a popular
Pyatnitskaya.
nightlife spot. Which brings me on to another thing that's different that I miss to the UK, which is that sense of alertness that you always need to have when you're on a night out on a street like this, that everything could just kick off. Right, let's get walking.
He can actually try to go somewhere from like away from the downtown to some you know, distance districts in Moscow, and he would be very surprised. I mean, this is very biased to say that, oh yeah, in downtown it's very, very clean, it's very, very safe, but just believe me, there are some districts in Moscow which are very dangerous to go. Like, it's a huge city, you know.
Warm again. It's freezing here. Minus 15, I think, something like that. We're going into Tretyakhovskaya Metro. While we're making our way into Tretyakhovskaya Metro, let's talk about healthcare, because it's very different here compared to the UK where I came from. And I have to say, I much prefer the UK method to here. Here, if I've got a problem, I phone up the doctor and I get an appointment the same day or the next day. Whereas in the UK, you get to take part in this amazing fun game where you have to phone up the GP's, the doctor's reception at 8 AM along with everybody else who wants an appointment in your local area, and you have to hope you get through. If you're lucky enough to get through, then you have to convince the receptionist who has no medical training that your problem is worthy of seeing the doctor. And then if you're lucky enough to convince them, you know, you get booked in to see the doctor in a week or so. If you're not lucky enough to get through or convince the doctor's receptionist, you have to try again the next day. And that's just a great opportunity to have fun, isn't it? Whereas this Russian system is just so simple and boring. You know, you have a problem, you phone up, you get seen the same day. Where's the fun in that?
Well, that's not really true. It's half true. Like, yeah, as I said, we have free medical treatment. You can go to the hospital, you can get medical help, especially emergency medical help. But because it's free, sometimes people have to wait for a long time to get some MRT or like computer scanning, you know, x-rays and stuff like that. So yeah, like you have to wait because a lot of people need such, you know, procedures and such examinations. So yeah, this is like the, you know, upper side of free treatment, because of a lot of people use it. So yeah, so it's not really true that you can just phone and, you know, get what you need, because sometimes you, not even sometimes, but most of the time you need to, especially if you need some extra examination, some extra medical treatment, you need to wait in the queue because there are a lot of people before you who need it too.
So we come onto the platform here at Tretyakhovskaya. Another comment would have to be how it's lacking character and characters. It's a bit sterile, it's a bit clean, isn't it? Really, ideally you'd be looking for a few more characters, maybe a few more drunkards, a few more homeless people, maybe a stag party or two wouldn't go amiss, just to bring this place alive a little.
You know, we don't have, like, I don't want to actually talk about this topic about the homeless people, but in Russia, if you are homeless, you would probably die. I mean, because we don't have any charity organization. Like, we have some, but they are like private and commercial. I don't know, commercial, private. I mean, they are not like homeless people don't get any, aid from government. No food, no free food, no supplies, no places where they can stand for the night. We don't have it. So if you're homeless in Russia, that means, yeah, not a good ending. So that's why we don't actually have a lot of homeless people.
It's just a little bit too calm and sterile. So we're here at Tretyakhovskaya. We're going to go down to Kaluzhskaya.
I actually love Moscow subway.
What this carriage is really missing, I think, is some gangster rap music, preferably played from some 15-year-old boy's phone, just to really make everybody in here feel uneasy. At the moment it's a little bit calm, it's a little bit pedestrian. I think, that little bit of gangster rap would just elevate the mood a little bit.
Okay, so in Moscow subway, when I lived in Moscow, I used to meet a lot of beggars, a lot of very heavy drunk people, a lot of thugs. Not a lot of, but I've seen some people. I've seen even people, beating each other or cursing and stuff like that. So sometimes you can meet very unpleasant people in Moscow subway and in St. Petersburg subway. So yeah, I mean, it depends like how lucky you are. So, but I think he sugarcoated this aspect of Moscow subway.
Arrived at Kaluzhskaya metro. We're gonna head over to Vorontsovskaya, and again, you'll agree with me, just a distinct lack of character and characters. As we go down to Vorontsovskaya, it brings me on to another of my complaints, and there's a clue in how shiny this escalator is. So you can see this is a shiny new station, part of the big Circle line, which was completed I think in 2023. And my complaint here is that they're building too many new metro stations. I think they built hundreds in the last few years, which is all well and good. That sounds great, but it's just hard to keep up. It's easy to get lost now.
Yeah.
And they should really take a lesson from the UK, in my opinion.
He didn't say that we have a lot of cities in Russia with 0 subway stations because there is no subway in this city. So yeah, Moscow is the only city which actually has a huge subway. And yeah, they actually pop up, like they actually build a lot of stations every year. And even in St. Petersburg, top 2 city in Russia, we don't have, like, we I don't remember when the last time we got a new subway station, like a year or so past. I mean, 2 or 3 years, last years, we didn't have any new stations. So this is very exclusively about Moscow. This is all about Moscow, like huge number of subway stations. It's only exclusively in Moscow. That's it.
Take the Glasgow subway system, for example, in Scotland. I think they've got 15 stations that they've had since 1896, And since 1896, they've opened 0 new stations. That is how you do it. That's consistency. That's stability. Nobody's going to get confused. You know where you stand with the Glasgow subway system. None of this, opening dozens of new stations every year. That's not how to do it.
Well, I mean, look, I think Glasgow is much smaller than Moscow. Moscow is huge, so yeah, as I said.
Okay, I've got 4 or 5 more complaints to share with you, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop on to the metro and stop at a station each time and give you a quick fire complaint. So you'll see 4 or 5 more stations, 4 or 5 more complaints. Let's go, here comes the train now.
Let's go.
Here we are at Novatorskaya.
You see, like, all these new trains, this is also all about Moscow. I mean, in St. Petersburg, we have pretty old trains from USSR times. And yeah, in Moscow, they upgrade the trains, they replace the old ones. I think, like, they send the old trains to St. Petersburg from Moscow. So we can ride on them. So yeah, I mean, exclusively for Moscow, only for Moscow people.
Very nice station it is too. We're here at Novatorskaya Metro, and here's my complaint. The cost of utilities is too cheap here, and the government controls the heating in my apartment, and the heating is turned up too high, so I have to open my windows to keep the apartment cool even when it's minus 20 degrees outside, which deprives me of the fun that we used to have in the UK of wrapping up warm and putting on extra layers and putting your coat on inside, because the heating costs were too extortionate to have the heating on all the time. That was such great fun, but here in Moscow, that's not needed, unfortunately.
Maybe he's joking about utilities being very cheap in Russia, because, like, in St. Petersburg, our utilities grew so expensive year by year, and I live in a small apartment and I pay around $50 or something, and it's really, like, I have a very small apartment and it's huge amount of money. And central heating is very expensive here. Like, the bills are huge in winter because of the central heating. So maybe he's joking. I hope he's joking. But if you have an UK salary, then yeah, probably utilities in Russia are not expensive. And yeah, I'm not saying that utilities in UK are cheaper or that they are not more expensive than they are in Russia, but you need to compare money people get in UK or with money people in Russia get, you know what I mean?
Сообщайте машинисту.
Beautiful
Поезд следует
trains.
до станции Каховская.
We're going to hop over onto the red line here at Prospect Verdanskova, and I'll tell you my next gripe, which is to do with food.
Tell me already.
And here's my complaint. Russia has a complete ban on all GMO food products, so like genetically modified foodstuffs, which I think is a bit of a shame, because I quite like the idea of pumping my body full of genetically modified chemicals and then just kind of waiting to see what happens in a few years. I mean, I think that's quite a fun little experiment to play on ourselves. So it's a bit of a pity that Russia's kind of put a stop to that, in my opinion.
Banning GMO actually doesn't mean that all products are good, especially very cheap one. Like, we have some very, very cheap, like hardcore cheap products, like brands in Russia. And I can't say like, oh, if you keep eating these products that you will die or something. No jokes. But banning GMO doesn't actually mean that there are not bad products here. Especially when you can't afford some really good quality products, you know? Yeah, look at this. Like, we have such trains in St. Petersburg, like, mostly like this old USSR trains where you would be like shaking off when um the train getting very like high speed. You're gonna be you're gonna be like like you are on a, I don't know, American railway or something. Oh my god, you know what I mean? Yeah, those trains, these old trains, these blue
Here
ones,
at
yeah.
Universitet Metro, I have another complaint, and it's about women. In fact, it's a warning.
It's a red line. It's a red line in Moscow, and this is the only line. This is the first line which was built in Moscow subway, and only this line has old trains. It's like a retro line. That's why you can see the old trains.
About women. If you're a man from the UK or the US and you come here, you're going to have to deal with a lot of, women who are interested in dating you. And obviously that's pretty inconvenient, pretty annoying. Just to add on to all the other list of all these things that I've been sharing with you.
I mean, I don't get what he said. I mean, did he actually try to say that Russian women want to date foreigners because they want to, they want to relocate or they want to move to another country, so they want to leave Russia? Did he mean this? I mean, okay, he's joking. This is like a high level of sarcasm, but this is very... I don't get it. Because if he means that, oh, like Russian women want to date foreigners, what? Like, I should be doing this already. Like, why am I sitting here? I should go outside and try to find some British guy.
Осторожно, двери закрываются.
Right, here we are, a deserted Vorobyove Gory. So at a very quiet
Vorobyove
Gory metro station, I will wrap up my list of...
Vorobyove Gory is a very, very, very beautiful place in Moscow. I remember I've been a lot of times there with my mother. Probably one of my most favorite places my mother loves to visit.
Complaints about life in Russia as a foreigner. Our tax contributions are too low, the cost of living's too low, it's too safe, healthcare is too readily available. Yes. Women keep pestering me to go out on dates with me. It's not for me. Of course, if you haven't realised already, this is all a joke, it's satire, it's sarcasm.
Thank God.
It's just a bit of a laugh. Don't mean to offend anybody or anything like that. Just a laugh. It's just a joke, bro. It's just a joke. Okay, I'm now out of the metro, as you can see. I'm walking home, and I wanted to record this little clip because I realised when I wrapped up the video in the metro, I didn't say something very important, which is that I'm not intending to slag off the UK or Scotland in this video. This video is a response to other...
I think like he actually slag off Russia a bit. I mean, I get it that he said that it's all the joke, but it's like, when it's funny but it's sad at the same time. I mean, what he said actually is just very, it can sound sad, especially about all this little prices, small utility bills and stuff like that. I mean, and this taxes, low taxes, which are not actually low because, as I said, that the employee pays a lot of taxes for you. So if you have like $1,000 salary, you will get only $400 after the taxes, because like you don't even know how, like, you don't even, like, you just get money already, with the cutoff of taxes, you know what I mean? So you just don't even know where your money would be invested into and so on. And yeah, So I get that he was joking, but it's like, you know, you're dead inside, but you're trying to jam, you're trying to vibe. And this is how I feel because, yeah, I mean, if you have a salary from, if you have a salary, like American salary or European salary, Russia is probably the best place to live, especially if we didn't have sanctions, yeah? But for local people, things are not so good.
Videos that take a very extreme view on Russia and make out that Russia is some sort of terrible place. So in this satirical video, I was flipping it and satirizing the UK and, you know, holding a mirror up to some of its faults, which of course it has, as every country has faults. But I do love the UK. I think it's a great country with a lot going for it. Amazing people, people who can take a joke and laugh at themselves, which is what I'm doing in this video. So I'm not intending to, like, you know, punch down on the UK or anything like that. I'll always stand up for the UK. I think it's a brilliant country. Has its problems, of course. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Okay, so if like this blogger, this content creator, this abridged guy, whatever, you know, see my reaction, I hope that he wouldn't be offended, because like I was not trying to, you know, offend him by his view, by his opinions. It's just, you know, Russia we live these days is very different from the Russia we had 4 years ago, and it's just I don't want to say sad things actually, but you know, having the huge inflation and that the prices are so, like, the prices are getting higher so fast and the salaries actually don't. So with this level of inflation, I just can't, you know, be so you know, light-mooded and very, you know, joyful and very, like, you know, can't get enough, like, I'm not so happy about it, so I can't just take all this, you know, the things he said as a joke, or like, for me it's not really funny, because when people say that, oh yeah, like, you can live in Russia and it's so cheap, like everything is so cheap, you could have like an amazing life, it's just a huge, you know, perspective of a person who lived in another country where, yeah, prices and stuff can be more expensive, but they just don't probably compare. They don't understand that local people here don't get, you know, such salaries. They probably would never have, but the prices are high. So we live with this, and it's not even about sanctions. So I hope you like this video. I hope you will leave me some comments and maybe give your perspective. And I, as I said already, don't take my words close to your heart. It's my perspective from the person who lived in Russia, who's born in Russia. And yeah, maybe I'm too depressed and my takes are depressive, but this is what I wanted to say. So take care and hope to see you in the next video.